Hello everyone and welcome back to the Football Chuggu Podcast. My name is Thomas Durning and today I'm joined by my co-host Pearse McLaughlin. Hello Pearse.
Hello, how you doing?
Doing well. On today's podcast, we'll be reacting to the opening weekend of the Scottish Premier League. So we'll discuss all the matches. We'll talk a little bit of transfer news around Europe. And at the end of the podcast, Pearse will give a rundown of all the latest Asian football news. So first and foremost, the SPFL kicked off last weekend. So on Saturday, the 3rd of August, we had the first two matches, and they were Hearts 0, Rangers 0, and Motherwell 0, Ross County 0. So opening day, no goals. And then the day after that, Sunday, the 4th of August, we had Dundee United 2, Dundee 2. We had St Mirren 3, Hibernian 0, and we had Celtic 4, Kilmarnock 0. And then there was one match played on Monday, the 5th of August, and that match finished St Johnstone 1, Aberdeen 2. So, Pearse, opening weekend, which game or games stands out to you the most?
There's a few games that stand out to me, but I think that for me, probably the biggest game is probably the Dundee Derby. For the first time in a couple of seasons, at least, I think it's about 3 seasons now, especially in the top flight anyway. Because both have been kind of yo-yoing the last couple of seasons. But it's great. It's brilliant to see the both Dundee sides back in top flight and opening weekend having the derby. And
Yeah.
I remember seeing the scores not come in and the goals and the quality that was going on in the first half. It was just electric, and that's just what you love to see. And the fact is, yeah, Dundee gave a lap of honour to their fiercest rivals, which a lot of teams don't do nowadays. But right to do it right before the start of a derby match is a bit feisty.
Is
But
it?
the game itself was full throttle. It was brilliant. Goals galore, some really good goals in show as well. And if that's a sign of things to come in the SPFL this season, I'm really looking forward to it because that was for me the standout fixture of the weekend. As obviously some other noticeable results like obviously St Mirren beating Hibernian 3-0, and obviously they're on the back of a good couple of European results as well. But I think probably the biggest statement result was probably Celtic 4, Kilmarnock 0, in terms of just utter domination from start to finish against a side that was a bit of a bogey team last season for Celtic, both home and away in the league and in the domestic League Cup. So it was a bit of a tricky position. I thought Kilmarnock were very physical. Rested a few of the players because they've got a European tie this week as well. But I thought Celtic movement was just really quick and created chances galore. And if it wasn't for McCrory and a couple of clearances off the line, it could have been a lot more. It could have been 8, 9. So I think the scoreline flattered Kilmarnock, and I think that was a statement result in opening weekend that things to come, considering there's been a lot of negativity surrounding Rangers and Celtic in terms of incomings from the summer transfer window. And I think as well, obviously, we've got to touch on the last game of the weekend, and that was St Johnstone 1, Aberdeen 2. And I think Jimmy Telling's slowly getting his Aberdeen team cooking. I think they've been playing some nice football in the League Cup, some good results, some great goals and show. And I think the standout for me was that Jamie. I don't know if you've seen the Jamie McGrath goal, the winner at the weekend.
Yes.
Just
Yeah,
a
it was. I
really
saw
nice
that.
passing move, and then his signing from his former club, Nielsen, with a lovely incisive pass through. And I think McGrath, you see a new lease of life under him, because I think he struggled under the previous couple of managers like Robson and Jim Goodwin. But no, I think he's starting to show up the potential that he once had at St Mirren. But no, for me, fantastic to have the SPFL back. Some good results and a lot of drama.
Yep. The game that stands out to me the most, I have to go with the Celtic game. Celtic 4, Kilmarnock 0. I just based on the performance that Celtic put in. You know, um, they've had a great pre-season. Celtic. They've beaten some top teams, the likes of Manchester City and Chelsea. So they've had a really good pre-season, and I thought on Sunday, I think they look. I mean, there's only one match, but I think they look unstoppable. I think they are by far and far away clear favourites to win this title again. But it was just the performance I thought they put in on Sunday. It was really quick, concise with football. Fully deserved the 4 goals. They had Nicholas Kuhn. He arrived in January, but the first half, the first 6 months of the year, he was, it was you didn't see a lot of him, but he's come back from pre-season and he looks a totally different player for Celtic. He actually looks like a new signing. Yeah, he got his goal on Saturday and Sunday as well, which was fully deserved. So yeah, that is my standout game. The Celtic 4 come on now, but it's worth mentioning the Dundee derby, as you said. Dundee giving the lap of honour to Dundee United is something that you don't see, especially on the opening game. I mean, the fact that Dundee derby was on the opening day of the season as well is something you don't see. So all of it was just a bit unusual. But that was a great game, that actually. It was really, really good. It was also on Sky Sports as well, so it was televised. But it was a really good to watch. You touched on St Mirren there, but I want to touch on Hibs actually because I don't. I'm probably if I'm a Hibs fan, I'd be concerned. You know, there doesn't seem to be any improvement from last season. I mean, it's only one game, so it's hard to say anything. But obviously, David Gray is now the permanent manager of Hibs, but they don't really look like a good side to watch at the moment. Very much look like they could finish again in the bottom half of the table. And once again, they shouldn't be there. They should be right up at the top of the league, but they're not. So there's quite worrying times there for Hibs. And then obviously the other match, which was on the Monday, the St Johnstone Aberdeen match, you touched on the Jimmy Tellin, the job he's done so far. They've done really well in the cup. In the group stage, in the Scottish League Cup group stage, they did really well in that. And they kicked off the season really well as well. So I think Aberdeen, I mean, it's early days, but I think they could be in for a much improved season because the last couple of seasons or so they've really struggled in the league. But I don't know. For me, there's just something about the manager and the way that he wants to play with Aberdeen. I just think that they could be in for a much better season. But it is only at the start of the season. There's a long way to go. Um, Obviously on Saturday as well. Sorry, Rangers and Hearts played. That game ended 0-0. So there's not really much to talk about in that match. I don't think it was a great match to watch. But but Rangers played last night in Champions League qualifier, so they travelled to Poland to play Dynamo Kyiv. That match ended 1-1. So Dynamo Kyiv were ahead in that match for quite a long time. And then basically the last kick of the game, Rangers managed to nick a goal via Cyril Dessers. So, yep, that return leg will be played next week. So 1-1 in the tie. Pearse, so what did you think about
It's a good result considering
that?
the lot of negativity surrounding the Rangers fan base at the moment. In terms of even last night before kickoff, you've seen all the negativity on social media and the phone-ins on the radios and stuff like that in terms of the starting lineup before the match even kicked off. But the fact is, Dynamo Kyiv beat Partizan Belgrade in the previous round 9-2, which shows you they're no mugs. They're free scoring. And they're a decent level of opposition. Finished second in the Ukrainian top flight last season. And the fact is, Rangers getting a 1-1 away from home is phenomenal. I think, considering probably the team that they've got at the moment, it's not finished. Still a rebuild in there to be done. And I think obviously I don't think they played great, but they weathered a storm. They got a positive result, and they've got a chance to take it back to Hampden next week, which is not Ibrox. If you've seen Ibrox, you'd probably think it's a guaranteed Rangers win and they'd go through to the next round. But because it's a Hampden, it's not their home ground, and as you know, the Hampden pitch isn't always the greatest. So it remains to see what will happen. But I think they've put themselves in a tremendous position to progress to the next round, to the playoff round. But
Yeah, yeah,
I think Rangers couldn't have asked for a better result. I think being level in a tie will do them a world of good, because I think if they lost that game last night, it could have brought a negative effect. But I think the fact is that they've technically they're still unbeaten this season in competitive games, but not the most convincing. But it's a positive result in the end, and I think Rangers, for me, I think will be slight favourites to go through next week.
Yep. It's very much the result that if Rangers were, before the match, they definitely would have taken that result. That is it's a tough place to go. Poland is quite far away. The match, I thought the atmosphere in the stadium was a bit flat as well. There wasn't a lot of fans there. And obviously that Dynamo Kyiv took the lead in the first half through Andriy Yarmolenko. And then after that, Rangers didn't really create anything. They didn't really create that much. Um, and you thought that the game was going to end 1-0 and Rangers would have quite a lot of work to do in the second leg. But that work's been very much taken off them after Cyril Dessers scored with the last kick of the game. And I think you said that if the game's at Ibrox, I would be very much confident that Rangers would progress to the next round. Just because of the stadium at Ibrox, the atmosphere, how much the fans are on top of you. I just felt that Rangers would win that. But because it's at Hampden, I don't know now. I'm not quite sure. I still think Rangers will just about have enough, but it's going to be a really tough game, and it's going to be interesting to see how Rangers kind of deal with the fact that they are at Hampden for the foreseeable future, because it's totally different to Ibrox. It's a much wider stadium. The fans are quite far away from the players, whereas at Ibrox, I always feel that the fans are really close to the pitch. So I don't know. All these things are factors that I don't know how Rangers will cope. But yeah, that match will be played next week at Hampden. It's 1-1 in the tie, all to play for. But you said Rangers will probably have enough, and I agree. I think Rangers will probably have enough as well. But I definitely would be surprised if Dynamo Kyiv won, because at the end of the day, they are a good side as well. So yeah, just thought it was worth mentioning that as well. We've also got Kilmarnock playing this week in Europe and St Mirren as well. They have to play in Europe as well this week, but we'll talk about that next week on the podcast and to see how they got on with their European results. So yeah, we'll now move on from this SPFL. So we'll talk a little bit about the transfer news around Europe. I think it's important to start with Atletico Madrid. So we found out this week that Julian Alvarez and Conor Gallagher are on the verge of joining Atletico Madrid. I think that's quite a lot of money Atletico Madrid are paying. So I think it's around about 80 million that Atletico Madrid are paying for Julian Alvarez. And I think they're also paying around about 45 million, I could be wrong there, for Conor Gallagher. So I think both of them, I think Conor Gallagher's travelling to Madrid at the moment to do his medical. And I think Julian Alvarez will be doing that in the next few days or so. But yeah, that's two major signings that Atletico Madrid are on the verge of making. So what's your thoughts on that, Pearse?
Yeah, surprised me a little bit, because I thought let's start with Conor Gallagher first. Chelsea through and through, club, came through the system, played at the Euros for England. He's in and around that squad. He's probably one of Chelsea's standout players last year. He was captain on a couple of occasions. I think he can play a number of positions. He can play defensive midfield, can play box to box. He can play number 10. Seen him do that for Crystal Palace a couple of seasons ago. He was really, really good. But I think losing a homegrown player is not great. But I think obviously because Chelsea not in Europe. But I think that's more to do with FFP, financial fair play. I think that, like you say, I think it's about roughly about 35, rising to maybe 45, with add-ons and stuff like that and future incentives. And then you've got Julian Alvarez, which again is back up to Haaland, and they only spent 14 million on him from River Plate 2 years ago. Um, yeah, January 2022. The fact is he's came to England with Manchester City. He's won a Champions League, won two Premier Leagues. So I'm pretty sure he's been successful, won virtually every trophy you could possibly imagine. He's done well, but I think his best performances for me has been in an Argentina jersey. Most specifically the World Cup back in 2022. And I think again, it's the fee kind of shocked me. I think because I don't think he's worth that amount of money because the money they're paying for him is more than what Man City paid for Haaland. If you put that into context, you know what I mean? Like for the backup for Haaland, you're paying more. So at 60 million rising to 80 is, I think, is a madness. But I think Julian Alvarez was quoted earlier in the week that he was unhappy in terms of the weather in the UK, and he wanted to be first choice at a club, and he's at that age, 23, 24 years old, that he probably wants to establish himself as a number nine at a top club, and Atletico is a top club. They're usually competing at the top half of the table in terms of like the competing for titles in terms of the Copa del Rey, Spanish Super Cup, last stage of Champions League, and obviously the La Liga title, and they've won a few a couple in recent years. But that just shows you how cash rich Atletico Madrid is. They've sold a few players this season, and now they're looking a bit. I think they're looking a bit stronger, to be honest, because they sold Morata to AC Milan, and they brought in Alexander Sola from Real Sociedad, and now they'll have Paul Julian Alvarez, which are a pretty formidable front two. And it makes you see where Griezmann will stay. Because I think there's talk of him maybe going to MLS or something like that. But it's a new look side, and Atletico Madrid look very strong if they get the two players in through the door, because Conor Gallagher looks like a perfect mould for Simeone in terms of someone who just run all day and he's got quality as well.
Yep. Two big signings for Atletico Madrid. They are a very, very rich club. They are capable of signing these kind of players, but you haven't really seen it recently. These kind of big kind of Atletico Madrid kind of spending that big money, because it's 81.5 million that they're going to spend for Julian Alvarez, and it's 33 million that they're going to spend on Conor Gallagher. So it's something that you don't really see often from Atletico Madrid. But the fact that they are kind of going out there with these kind of players and signing them for that type of money shows that, they really want to do something big next season. We're seeing Real Madrid, the squad that they've got at the moment is pretty frightening. You'd think that they're going to probably, at the moment, dominate La Liga for quite a while. Barcelona are obviously signing players. So Atletico Madrid, if they have any aspirations of winning any trophies this season, I think that they've decided that they're going to have to spend big money. And Julian Alvarez is obviously the big one. You touched on there, Man City. That's absolutely brilliant business for them, as you said, selling them for buying them for 14 million and then selling them on for 80 million. They're getting way more than double the money. It's a brilliant bit of business for Manchester City. It really is. So it's actually going to be quite interesting as well. And then I think there's quite a domino effect going on here. So obviously Conor Gallagher, he's going from Chelsea to Atletico Madrid, and I think Chelsea in a separate deal are signing Atletico Madrid striker Omo Rodion. I think he's going to be joining Chelsea in in the very near future. I think a fee's been agreed for them for him. He was on loan away from Atletico Madrid last season, but obviously Chelsea sees something in him. And yeah, I think he's going to be joining Chelsea. So there's quite a lot of moving parts going on there with Atletico Madrid in terms of buying players and selling players. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they two do Atletico Madrid next season, if obviously it all goes through. Just another bit of transfer news in La Liga. I just want to touch on Barcelona. They are on. It's not been confirmed yet, but they're on the verge of signing Dani Olmo from RB Leipzig. So a fee's been agreed with Leipzig. He's actually currently in Barcelona just now doing his medical. Yeah, that's another signing in the Liga. Dani Olmo's obviously Spanish as well. So yeah, he'll be going back to his home country. So what's your thoughts on that one, Pearse?
For me, I think Dani Olmo has performed admirably in the Bundesliga for Leipzig for a number of years. First made his name over in Croatia with Dynamo Zagreb, and then got his move over to Leipzig. And he's been a standout performer year in, year out. And even for Spain, not necessarily a starter, but whenever he plays, he always seems to have an impact, a positive effect, whether it be goals, assists, some skills. He can play in a number of positions. Just a really talented footballer. and he's one that's came through the La Masia system at Barcelona, but he was never good enough to play as when he was like 16, 17, 18. But he's went away, found his form, and now he's going back to the club that he supports and loves. And I think for me, that's an upgrade for what Barcelona have. And I think that's a positive signing for me. And that is a statement signing, to be honest, because I think Dani Olmo was ready to take the next step and go to an elite club. And Barcelona is an elite club. Because Leipzig's a good club, but they're not an elite level club. I mean, like I thought for me, I thought maybe Bayern Munich would probably be the most suitable option for Dynamo, considering he's Bundesliga proven, and Bayern Munich really needed to strengthen this summer. But they've gone different route. They've got signed more players from the Premier League, and Michael Olise and João Palhinha, which are two good signings as well. But I think Barcelona are showing that they're there to compete next year, and they're going to do a lot better. Under Hansi Flick, and obviously Thiago, who's his assistant coach, which I think might be in for a successful campaign this year. Because I've got a lot of young talent, and as you've seen at the Euros, when Spain won it, that Lamine Yamal and a few other youngsters at Barcelona are really talented, and if they can keep improving year on year out, then they've got a chance to compete at the highest level in terms of winning trophies. And that's what Barcelona need to do. And same with Atletico, and obviously Real Madrid we touched on as well, who have obviously confirmed this summer as well, Mbappe, that it's finally moved. So La Liga is looking as if it's like going to be very exciting this year. And I think the three La Liga sides I'm pretty sure, will be competing at the latter stage of Champions League. And I think La Liga is looking a lot stronger than it has been in the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's another big name that's going to be coming to Spain and La Liga, Dani Olmo. He's actually got history with Barcelona. He was in the youth team quite a few years back, and then he obviously left to go to Dynamo Zagreb. He done really well there. Got his move to Leipzig, which is where he's made his name. He's been a brilliant player for Leipzig. Obviously I'd heard of him way before the Euros, but he actually really caught my eye more at just the Euros just there. I thought he was amazing in the Euros for Spain. Just the way he kind of played that position, kind of in the pocket between the midfield and defence. He just looks like a typical Barcelona player. To me anyway. The way he kind of controls the ball, the way he kind of moves around the pitch. I think he's going to really suit Barcelona, and it's Barcelona financially have kind of struggled the last few years. They've not really they stopped spending big money. But the president of Barcelona, Laporta, he said a couple of weeks ago that Barcelona are ready to be in a position to spend big money. They managed to sort out a lot of financial difficulties that they had, and he said that they are ready to spend big money, and this is the evidence of it. Dani Olmo is going to be joining for 55 million, and it's a guaranteed package plus 7 million in add-ons. So it's a 6-year deal as well. So yeah, it's quite a big commitment that Barcelona are making there. So it's going to be interesting to see how he gets on under Hansi Flick at Barcelona. But yeah, Dani Olmo to Barcelona looks like it's almost done. That's another big name added to the Liga. So Dani Olmo, Kylian Mbappe, Julian Alvarez. There could be more. So the Liga is looking really good. Next season, it's going to be really exciting to watch. So yeah, so that's all the news from around Europe. And for the last part of the show, Pearse will now give his Asian football roundup.
Yeah, so start off with some news around Asian football at the moment. So Tottenham Hotspur have confirmed the signing of young winger Yang Min-Hyuk from Gangwon FC. The 18-year-old will join Spurs in January of 2025 in a deal that will run until 2030. Yang, a South Korean youth international, has scored 8 goals in his 25 appearances for Gangwon, and in netting his first goal for the club back in March against Gwangju FC. He became the youngest K-League goal scorer since 2013. Yang will become the third Korean footballer to join Spurs after current captain Son Heung-min and Lee Young-po. New Bayern Munich star Hiroki Ito has been ruled out for a lengthy spell on the sidelines after he suffered a metatarsal fracture in their pre-season friendly against 4th Division side Duren. The official statement from Bayern read, new signing Hiroki Ito is set to be out for action for FC Bayern for several weeks. The defender sustained a metatarsal fracture. This was confirmed by a scan carried out by the Bayern Munich medicals team immediately after the match. On the defender's condition, sporting director Max Erbel said, it's obviously a very bitter blow. We will give Hiroki the best support so that he's back fully fit on the pitch as soon as possible. So Red Bull is now also entering Japanese football after the energy drink giants have added Japanese third tier Omiya Ardija from the city of Saitama, just north of Tokyo, with the deal to be finalised in September, when the shares currently held by the telecommunications company NTT East are to be transferred to Red Bull in September. So Omiya Ardija is top of the J3 after 23 rounds. We are very happy to have a club in Asia and to be able to expand our football portfolio in the strategically important region. Japanese football has developed very well in recent years and has produced many top talents. That is Red Bull CEO Oliver Mintzkaff. So the semi-final draw for the 2024 Korea Cup was made on Monday. So the draw sees a repeat of last season's typhoon affected semi-final tie between Jeju United and current holders Pohang Steelers. Guangzhou will take on back-to-back K-League 1 champions Ulsan HDFC. So the first legs will be played on Wednesday, the August 21st, when that will be Jeju United at home against Pohang Steelers and Guangzhou FC at home against Ulsan HDFC, with the return legs a week later. So K-League returns this weekend. So starting on Friday the 9th of August with two matches. We've got top of the table clash between Gimcheong Sanmu and Gangwon FC, which I will be covering and doing the match reports again after a lengthy wee spell out through various reasons. So keep an eye out on the website for that. And also we've got Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors versus Guangzhou FC, and both of those matches are set for 7:30 kickoff. And then we've got three matches on Saturday, the 10th of August, and that is Ulsan HDFC versus Daegu FC, and that's set for 7 p.m. kickoff. And then we've got two 7:30 p.m. kickoffs, and that is Jeju United versus Incheon United and Suwon FC versus Daejeon Hana Citizen. And the final fixture of the weekend in the K-League 1 will be Pohang Steelers versus FC Seoul, and that is set for a 7 p.m. kickoff. So we have J League 1 fixtures. So Wednesday, 7th of August, so the time of recording this match is going on at the moment. So Alberts Nagata versus Jubal Iwata, Seiji Osaka versus FC Machida Zilvia, Seiji Osaka, Gambo Osaka versus FC Tokyo, Cash Antlers versus Sagan Tuso, Kawasaki Frontale versus Vissel Kobe, Kyoto Sanga versus Nagoya Grampus, Shonan Bellmare versus Avispa Fukuoka, Tokyo Verde versus Sanfrecce Hiroshima, Ura Diamonds versus Casio Reysol, and Yokohama F. Mars versus Hoikuro Constal Sapporo. So all those matches are set for 7 p.m. kickoff, apart from the last two matches, which is Ura Diamonds versus Casio Reysol and Yokohama F. Mars versus Hoikuro Sapporo. And in the weekend, there's also more fixtures in the J League 1, so excitement back in Japan already. So Saturday, 10th of August, we have Hoikuro Consol Sapporo versus Avispa Fukuoka as a 2 p.m. kickoff. And then Sunday, the 11th of August, we have FC Machida Zilvia versus Shonan Bellmare. That's a 6 p.m. kickoff. And then Sanfrecce Hiroshima versus Cerezo Osaka, which is set for 6:30 kickoff. And then we have FC Tokyo versus Kawasaki Frontale, 7 p.m. kickoff. Jubal Iwata versus Cash Antlers, and that's also set for 7 p.m. kickoff. And we've got Kashi Reysol versus Gambo Osaka, Logo Grampus versus Tokyo Verde, Sagan Tuso versus Ura Diamonds, and they're all set for 7 p.m. kickoff. And then the final match on Sunday, which is Yokohama F. Marinos versus Vissel Kobe, that's set for 7:30 kickoff. And then the final fixture of the weekend in the J League 1 will be Monday, the 12th of August, and that will see Alberts Nagata host Kyoto Sanga FC, and that is set for a 7 p.m. kickoff. And that is all your latest Asian football news.
Thank you, Pearse. And thank you, everyone, for listening to this episode of the Football Chuggu Podcast. This podcast will be available to listen to on the Football Chuggu YouTube channel and also the Football Chuggu website. Thanks for listening and see you soon.
Bye-bye.